so I hate to be a little bit of a downer, but consider the following statistic. 87% of US adults cannot read or write. Just appreciate the power of that. And the fact that I finish it with numbers should not diminish the impact, right? To be quantitatively illiterate in today's data-driven society is absolutely just as debilitating as being illiterate was 50 years ago. We're talking about the mathematics that our students need for informed citizenship, now more than ever. Right? Our students need a new mathematical experience which truly does empower them so they can ask intelligent questions of experts, think for themselves, and confront authority confidently. These truly are the skills they need to thrive in today's modern world. Is algebra necessary? You have to come to the breakout session this afternoon for the answer. But I definitely can tell you what they don't need is more of that formulaic, procedural approach to mathematics that for all too many of our students is their only mathematical experience. They need to know where numbers come from and what they actually convey. Again, we're talking about informed citizenship, the mathematics they need to make informed decisions in their personal, professional, and yes, their public lives. A quantitative reasoning curriculum truly can be transformative for our students. This is one of my students, Fiona, who took my QR course. She came to a drastic realization. She actually likes math. That can happen. Students in college can actually enjoy a math course. It was the first time in her life that she looked forward to going to a math class, that she truly applied what she learned in that math class outside of the classroom itself. And it made her really want to take another math class, and that's important. A robust QR curriculum absolutely does not stand at odds with the STEM crisis that we face today. If we can truly engage our students with mathematics, they're going to want to take more math classes. They're going to realize that they too could succeed in STEM fields. She told me a story where she went home for Thanksgiving, and around the dinner table they were discussing the time value of money. And her businessy brother was comparing fund quotes, and she whipped out her CPIs and apples to oranges argument, supported it with equations and QR logic snippets. And as the very labeled humanities and arts child, it gave her quite a few points because we were able to empower her, right? It enabled her to argue with her brother. And I'm not sure that's, ultimately what we're arguing for here, but the fact that she was empowered is really transformative. And it's also important to note that she learned a lot in that semester. A robust QR curriculum absolutely is rigorous enough to deserve college credit. The wrong way to teach math is absolutely not to acknowledge that ours truly has become a quantitative century. Our students need to master its language. Decimals and ratios now are as crucial as nouns and verbs. We're not just talking about success in the classroom, we're talking about success for them in their careers when they graduate from college. There was this article, The Algorithmic CEO in Fortune magazine, where they talked about every business in the coming years is going to become a math house. And what they meant by that was not that the employees were going to sit around factoring the quadratic equations we've already heard people allude to, or do long divisions of polynomials as much as we all enjoy that. Some of you might be doing that now just to pass the time. They were talking about modeling with spreadsheets. The mathematics that businesses use today is radically different from what we're teaching them. The right way to teach math is actually to incorporate those spreadsheets into the curriculum. This is a powerful quote, for there's a much more recent implementation of Al-Khwarizmi's method of algebra. One of immediate use to everybody, the electronic spreadsheet, a perfectly correct description of Microsoft Excel, is that it is a computer implementation of algebra, When you have your students working with real-world data on a spreadsheet, they're actually learning and developing algebraic reasoning skills, and you never even have to mention the A word. They're getting the algebra. And you get quotes like this: QR was one of the most useful courses I've taken at Bowdoin. I'm interning at IBM this summer as part of their Watson sales enablement team. We use spreadsheets in QR every day. Thank you for bringing in and teaching this course. Thank you for listening.
So I was asked to tell you a story from the English side, from the writing side of the house. And I thought about all of the students that we've worked with, but the story that I want to tell is not maybe especially gripping. It's a story of what happens when faculty work together for over 10 years. And what we've worked together on are policies that unintentionally do harm. So I looked up, and according to, at least to Wikipedia, the Hippocratic Oath is not exactly what I thought it was. I thought it was at least do no harm, right? But if Wikipedia is right, if we're right on Wikipedia, it's that it's to utterly reject harm and mischief. And so about 10 years ago, my colleagues and I in Idaho, as writing faculty, teaching writing classes over and over, noticed two policies that had unintended consequences. And so that's what I love to talk with all of you more about, just briefly, is how policies that stem from very good intentions have unintended consequences for our students. Those two policies were connected to two different things. First, we believed as a group of writing faculty from doctoral granting universities, from community colleges, from our technical college, from our state universities, we believe that there were two issues that were affecting our students and in negative ways. First, students are harmed when they're placed into writing courses at the college level based on a single standardized test score. And I'm not the first one to say that, and you've probably heard that before. This was before we knew This was before we knew about CCA. This is a long time ago. This is research in our field that has demonstrated this again and again and again. Secondly, we knew that students were harmed when they were not receiving credit for doing college-level work. We were teaching courses that were labeled basic writing that we were required to not give credit for, and they were doing college-level work. So we wanted to restructure these two moments, and we wanted to reframe them. So I'll start first with the moment of placement. My colleagues and I knew the research on writing assessment. We knew that standardized test scores have no correlation with students' potential performance, and my own institutional research person demonstrated this to me on our campus. Writing assessment research calls us to develop inclusive, socially just practices that are rich and flexible. We decided to rethink that moment altogether, to advocate for ways to move from a static number on a chart to a framework for placement that invited students in to college. So in Idaho, in all of our institutions now for writing, we use placement to welcome students. We use placement to encourage them to reflect on their experiences. We use placement to communicate our values and our expectations and to let students know what our classes are. Students often don't know what English 101 is, or they they misunderstand what it is. We use placement to acknowledge that our students are far more than a number on a chart or a piece of data in an algorithm. We use it to remind us all that humans are at the center of our decisions. And you can hear me talk about placement later because it's something I'm pretty passionate about. Secondly, there's the issue of how we give credit and what we call our courses. And again, we had started these conversations long ago and knew we wanted to do something that would impact all students at all of our institutions in Idaho. As you can imagine, a group of writing faculty, our conversations were pretty lively and diverse, and we come from different backgrounds, and we work at very different kinds of institutions. But as rhetoricians, we knew that it matters what a course is numbered. Students know what 100 means. They know what 90 means. They know there's a difference there. We know that the credits matter to students. That communicates our values when we say something is not credit-bearing. And course names communicate. When we call something basic or remedial or developmental, this communicates an institution's, and in our case, an entire state's values to students. So again, we wanted to reshape this moment. We knew about the positive impact of credit-bearing coursework, and we knew what we called this course mattered. So we chose a name that encompasses what we do and the values that we have for our courses. So now in Idaho, at all of our institutions, from our community colleges through our flagship university, we have as an entry point English 101 and English 101 Plus. We offer it in different configurations at each institution, but the name and the credit-bearing opportunities are the same. When we tell students that they're in college and so they'll take college-level work, we're using policies to communicate our institution's values and to communicate our respect for students. So all of us can and should, and I would say now more than ever, look for ways to utterly reject harm and mischief that we do to our students. We don't do these intentionally. These policies came about for very good reasons, but they have outsized unintended consequences on some of our most vulnerable populations. My colleagues from all of my sister institutions in Idaho have showed me again and again how to advocate for all students and how to do the hard work of collaborating for years and years and years. I'm grateful to have such excellent partners in Idaho. We've had state lawmakers who have listened to us. We've had administrators on campus who have taken that leap of faith before we had full data to support some of these changes. While years of dogged collaboration don't maybe make for a gripping 5-minute narrative, they do lead to meaningful, sustainable change. Thank you.